So, with the United States withdrawing out of the Paris Climate Agreement, I thought it would be the perfect time to debut my solution to global warming. These ideas and concepts that I had come up with about 5 years ago when I was 15. I've been trying to build companies around them since then. I've had 6 failed startups. I decided, what the heck, I'm gonna just open source these ideas because I'm not trying to solve global warming for my own gains. If there's any aspect of these ideas that you like, comment in the section below, but also take them and apply to them to your life. Some of you guys might be engineers, software engineers, designers, all the 9 yards. Share the video. But without any further ado, this is what I think we could do to solve global warming, or get us in the right steps towards solving and reversing global warming. The current global status is the human population is growing. Right now, we're about, 7 billion people, almost to 8 billion people now. Most of this population increase will be coming from less developed countries, basically developing countries. And so 5 years ago, I was focusing a lot of my effort into solving infrastructure problems, food-related problems, electricity, basic needs for developing countries. And so I used Africa as an example, and I'll get to that later. But couple that, with the global temperature rising. This temperature increasing is, a definite indicator that global warming is a thing. I'm still surprised that we have to talk about that and try to prove it. But anyways, 5 years ago, I was thinking about, hey, how can we build a better future for humanity, not just for myself? And so I looked around the world and I saw, hey, we have a lot of deserts. Africa has the Sahara Desert. The California is drying up and they're having, unpredictable rainfalls. There's the Namib Desert in South Africa. There's the Middle East, which is, mostly desert. And so there's a lot of deserts, even in Australia has its own desert. But the interesting thing that all these deserts have in common is that they're surrounded by large water bodies. So in America, we have the Pacific Ocean. The Sahara Desert is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, Indian Ocean. And so, the deserts in the Middle East, and, Australia has its Indian Ocean surrounding its desert, right? And so I was like, hey, why don't we change these deserts into livable places, given that our population is rising and we need, new places for people to live in and new jobs and stuff like that. And so I was like, hey, why not come up with a solution that I can apply on not just deserts in Africa? And I will use Africa as an example, but this solution theoretically can be applied to all these hot deserts. Fun fact, Antarctica is actually a desert. It's a cold desert, and so that's why I specified hot deserts. Anyways, so we'll use the Sahara Desert in Africa as a template for how we could bring developing countries into the status of developed countries, allowing us to create a better future for humanity in general. And so, diving straight into it, the Sahara Desert is 3.6 million square miles. In comparison, the continental United States is 3.1 million square miles. So I'll let that sink in. The Sahara Desert is bigger than continental America. In other words, I can fit the continent of America in the Sahara Desert. Another way to look at it is Africa basically has another landmass the size of America that it's not utilizing right, which is crazy to think about. So I was like, hey, all right, let's take that. And so I thought that, hey, since we have all this water surrounding that is deserts and the temperature in deserts is slowly increasing, why not couple these things, put them together and build something? And so I did some research and I found this experiment this guy did where he used the sun's temperature to heat up water, desalinate it, turn it into steam, and then run a turbine using it. Here's a video of him, talking about it and showing you it.
This one's been running for an hour, and I haven't had to readjust the trough. That's one advantage to a trough mirror. If you set your trough on a west to east pattern, the sun's going to track across the sky, and that beam's going to stay pretty much in place from about 11 a.m. through about 3 or 4 p.m. Now, you can use a heliostat to track the sun to get the early morning and the late afternoon as well, but for basic heating, this is just really amazing. I'm going to undo this. You can see that water is just extremely hot. I've tested this, and this will actually do about a gallon a minute at 140 degrees. So that's pretty good. It'll do a quarter of a gallon a minute at about 190 to 195 degrees. So that is a lot of heat for that. I'm your host, Dan Rojas. Thank you for watching and enjoy our videos.
The end product of this process is electricity and desalinated water, which is awesome because, you know, if you think about it, if we can have electricity and, you know, clean water in a desert, we can then couple this with a system like an automated farming system, basically, you know, robots that run based on this electricity that we just made, you know, couple that with the water that we just have, we can build, you know, systems, basically robots that can farm for us. And so here's some examples of, you know, automated farming systems.
This is AeroFarms, a massive indoor vertical farm in Newark, New Jersey.
Our mission is to build farms in cities all over the world so people have access to fresh, great tasting, highly nutritious food.
Crops are stacked more than 30 feet high inside this 30,000 square foot space. They're grown using aeroponic technology.
Typically in indoor growing, the roots sit in water and one tries to oxygenate the water. Our key inventor realized that if we missed nutrition to the root structure, then the roots have a better oxygenation.
AeroFarms says the root misting system allows them to use 95% less water than a regular field farm. They also use no pesticides or herbicides. Instead of soil, plants are grown in reusable cloth made from recycled plastic. And instead of the sun, there are rows and rows of specialized LED lighting.
This is also another company I was trying to build, an automated farming system company, but I'll get into those later. But for now, I'm trying to show you the different tools we can use to solve global warming. So the last tool is 3D printing. 3D printing, you know, is from aerospace engineering to dental industry to locomotive. But the cool thing about 3D printing is that there's a company in China that 3D printed 10 houses in 24 hours. And this was 5 years ago. All this research I did was 5 years ago. And so fast forward to now, yeah, we can do some crazy stuff. But here's a video showing you the, you know, company that 3D printed 10 houses in 24 hours.
These buildings behind me were not built in the normal fashion, but were actually printed out by a 3D printer. This printing method was developed by private inventors.
The 10 standalone one-story houses look normal at first sight. But the walls are made up of layers of construction waste and cement instead of brick and mortar.
The reason why I'm putting these out there is that people in developing countries can take these ideas and start working on different aspects of them. You know, some people are in, like, for example, India can start working on how to create more food. So basically building better automated farming systems. People in Africa can work on how to generate electricity and fresh water from the resources that they have. People in developed countries can, you know, think of how we can build automated farming systems. And so the reason I'm putting these ideas out there is to motivate people, is to inspire people that I can't do this alone. I've been trying to do it alone for the past 5 years, and I realized that these ideas are too big and too great for one man to hold them alone. And so I put them out there so that we could work on these things together. Designers can design new cities in the Sahara Desert, all the way to, you know, sharing this video. Simple things like that can take a long way. I know you're passionate about something, and so use your passions on this larger thing. I'll finish off by saying I came up with these ideas because in the 21st century, we're moving towards a global species, a global society. And so, you know, we have to, you know, catch up the developing countries up to the developed countries for us to move forward together. And so these are ideas that we could use to help not just developing countries, but, you know, California is a state that's going through the adverse effects of global warming. So we could use, you know, some of these technologies in California to speed up and help the, you know, them reverse, you know, the adverse effects that global warming is having on them. So I'll finish off by saying that these ideas, these notions, they're concepts and theories that I came up with 5 years ago that I tried to build companies around that I failed. And so what I'm trying to say is no one person can do these alone. And so we'll have to work together, and I'm working on a way we could do that. But, you know, if you like this video, if you like the ideas and the notions and what I'm trying to work towards, you know, share the video, comment. Let's create a conversation around, hey, could we terraform deserts? If we can, how could we do it? made. My role in Earth right now is to raise the conscious awareness of the human race to realizing that we in the present can create a better future. And so with that, I will leave you and I'll join you next time on my next video. Please share this video, comment, and let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Toodles.